Hi guys, so I'm here to do my spring TBR. These are the books I'd like to read in spring, which in my head is roughly March, April, May. I like doing kind of seasonal TBRs as opposed to monthly TBRs, and I love spring. Spring is my favourite season and I'm really excited about all these books, so I'm just going to show them to you. So I feel as though top priority is reading the books I've been lent by friends and family, so those are the ones I'm going to show you first. So first up, I was lent two books by my friend Elle, who doesn't have a BookTube account, but she does have a Bookstagram account on Instagram, so I'll link that down below. And she lent me the first two books, this is the first one, in the Chronicles of Pride series by Lloyd Alexander. The first one being the Book of Three and the Black Cauldron being the second one. Now how stunning are these copies? Now she lent me these because the Disney film The Black Cauldron is based on these, particularly the sequel, The Black Cauldron, and I adore the Black Cauldron cartoon, but I've never read these books and she says that they're wonderful, far better than the film. Aren't they always? So she lent me both of them because she said after I finish the first one I'm going to want to read the second one straight away, and these are a sort of children's fantasy series, so hopefully they won't take me too long to read and I can chat about them with her and you guys. The next book I was lent by my mum, and it is A Great Love by Alexandra Kollontai. I love this old school 1980s cover from Virago, and this is one of my mum's favourite books. I think she read it for the first time when she was in her 20s, around my age, and she just loves it and wants me to read it, and she has sold it to me quite well, probably better than I can sell it to you because I haven't read it. It's about the protagonist's relationship with a man who she's completely enthralled with amidst political turmoil and being an activist and finding yourself as an individual and balancing all of that, and it just sounds wonderful, and it's so short. It's like 150 pages, so I have no excuse. Need to get to this one soon. I then have a book I borrowed from my dad, a little bit of symmetry there, and that is Nkrumah and the Guinean Revolution by C.L.R. James. This is a non-fiction book about the Guinean Revolution. Ghana was the first African country to gain its independence, and this was back in the 1940s or 50s, I believe. Now, my African history is not great, but that's what my dad specialised at university, and I've always wanted to know more because, I don't know, I guess I want to know what my dad knows. I want to share that with him. I want to know about the stuff that he studied and found interesting, and I was asking him for a book that wasn't too big, that would be a good beginner for African history and that wasn't a massive textbook, and we ended up coming to the conclusion that I would read this one because it's obviously only about one specific instance in a much longer history, but one that I think will be a good in, and again not terribly long, so really excited for this one. I then borrowed a collection of poetry from Jen, and that is Apocrypha by Catherine M. Valenti. Everyone raves about Catherine M. Valenti, but I am yet to read any of her works in full, so I'm hoping her poetry does it for me. I'm assuming based on the cover that these are going to be quite dark as well, which I'm completely up for. The next book I bought for myself back in January, I think, and it's because of Lauren from Lauren in the Books and her absolute infatuation with it. Now, I've heard lots of good things about it, but it's Lauren that's really sold me on it, and that is Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. This, I believe, follows a young woman who is newly married, and her husband has a deceased wife, Rebecca, I believe, who's obviously no longer with them, and her ghost, or at least her presence, seems to haunt the home that she moves into, and it's kind of all about the mystery there. It sounds like it's going to be a real page turner, and I cannot wait to get to it. Plus, look at this cover. Another beautiful Virago job. I of course will be reading the March pick for the Feminist Orchestra book club, and that is Leftover Women: The Resurgence of Gender Inequality in China by Lita Hong Fincher, and this is pretty much what the title implies. It's a non-fiction book about the way in which gender inequality manifests in modern China and how things are progressing in a negative fashion, I imagine. And again, I don't know terribly much about China more than the surface level stuff that I think most people are aware of in the news, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I then have a sequel which I'm really excited to get to, and that is The Other Half of Happiness by Aisha Malik. This is a sequel to Sophia Khan Is Not Obliged, which I read in February and have actually already started this. I've only read like the first chapter or something, but I couldn't wait to get to it because the first one was just such a quick, engaging read that I just wanted more of that. I won't say anything about the plot because it very much follows on from the first one, but it is told from this perspective of a young Muslim woman in London, and it's kind of about her romantic life. I then really want to get to two books I got as Christmas presents, and the first one is another collection of poetry, and I got it from Jen, poetry expert, and that is Measures of Expatriation by Vanni Capildio. All I know about this one is that Jen adored it and said that I too would adore it. I believe it has political, social issue themes, which is my kind of thing when it comes to poetry, so I believe her, I trust her. And then I would like to get to The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which I got from Lauren for my Christmas, and I've yet to read any proper work by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and this is actually a collection of her short stories, so I'm hoping a really good end to her literature. I really like her as a person, so I'm convinced I'm going to like this book. I then have a graphic novel which I've just bought for myself finally after everyone has been raving about it for months and months and months, and that is Paper Girls Volume 1. I'm sure I'm gonna love this. Everyone seems to love it. I believe it's about a group of newspaper delivery girls in the 1980s, but I think something really dark and wacky happens, and I don't know what that is, but I'm really excited to find out. I'm probably going to read this one first because it won't take me any time at all, really, will it? And I'm sure I'm going to end up picking up the sequels, unless everyone's been lying to me. I also really want to get to Homegoing by Yad Jassy, another one that's just been raved about over and over and over again. I think that's pretty much a theme when it comes to my Spring TBR. This one follows the ancestors of two sisters, beginning with the two sisters and then following the different generations afterwards, and what makes the sisters distinctive is that one of them sold into slavery and one of them becomes the wife of a slave trader, and it's how about those two lives impact the future generations of their family. I have a little non-fiction book that I just got in the post after seeing on Nicola from Robotnik's channel, and this video will be going up before I do another haul, so this is the first time you'll be seeing it on my channel, and it is Capitalist Realism, Is There No Alternative by Mark Fisher. This is only 80 pages, so a really short non-fiction. I believe it's a discussion of how capitalism has impacted our generation and the current world after it became the most widely recognised economic system in the Western world, and are there any alternatives and what those might be, how they might be implemented. I don't know, I haven't read it, it'll be interesting too though. And lastly, I also want to read Cassandra by Christa Wolf, and this was translated from the German by Jan van Hurk. Probably not a great pronunciation there, but this one was actually recommended to me by my dad, and I saw it in Daunt Books when I was out with Jen one day and thought, hey, I'm going to pick up my own copy of that. It is a retelling of the Greek myth of Cassandra. And naturally I am already in the middle of a few books as well. I'll probably talk to you about those in my next currently reading video, and who knows, I am certain more books will strike my fancy as spring goes on, but those are the books that are top of my TBR pile at the moment that I cannot wait to get to and will be picking from in the immediate future. So do let me know if you have any thoughts on any of the books I've talked about in this video, and until next time guys, happy reading, I'll see you again soon, bye!